fast, I'm jumping in.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are live on Riverwest Radio 104.1 WXRW-LP with your favorite live at 5 every Monday, Interstellar Vision, Intellectual Minds.
Interstellar Vision. Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions. Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions.
Don't know where I'm going, don't know who am I. Trying to get my praise, so I look up to the Most High. Saying that she love me, I know she wasting time. Trying to find my vision, looking in the sky. Don't know who I am, so I'm praying half the time. So I'm interstellar, I'm about to mind, space, time. Trying to continue to be the best that I can till the day that I die.
Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions. Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions. Giving all the light that I have, cause that's what we need. You can tap into better halves that bleed. They come from the souls of majesty. Erase all the pain and tragedy. I'm glad that you're here and you're next to me. I pray and repent for the wrongs I've seen. I gave every cent to my wildest dreams. I live for myself in reality. Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions. Interstellar vision, honor in this living. Use the voice I'm giving, benefiting billions. Interstellar vision. All my days alive. Interstellar vision. All my days alive.
All my days are alive. All our days are alive.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are live 104.1 WXRW-LP Riverwest Radio, your favorite live at 5 every Monday. Interstellar Vision, Intellectual Minds. We have to thank the love guru, the love master, and the Zen master, Pierre, behind the scenes making things happen. If you are watching live on YouTube right now, which you can on Interstellar Vision, Intellectual Minds, he just made an amazing new custom background where the cover of the show is on the back of the camera. It looks really cool. So shout out to Pierre and everything that he does at the radio station. Shout out to Riverwest Radio and everything that they do for the community. Definitely the spot to be for independent artists or local creatives to expand their voice and media practice in the city of Milwaukee. Come check us out. 824 East Center, 53212 Riverwest. You know the vibes. And today we have the great honor of interviewing a wonderful musician that honestly right now I forgot where we met. which is cool. But this young woman has incredible talent. I wanted to make it to your show at Vendetta. So heavy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it was beautiful. And with that being said, Jessie Garwood, what's the vibes?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
We're honored to have you. So first off, can you remind me where we connected?
Yes. So every Monday, Uptowner down the street has an open mic.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So you came to one of those, and I think like I saw you, but we didn't actually talk until I got off stage. And
Yeah,
then you told
'cause-
me about your whole operation here, and the rest is history.
That's cool, yeah. And I love Riverwest Radio, as I was just cheering on,
Yeah.
local nonprofit doing good things for us creatives. Yeah, you were astonishing. I remember
Thank
seeing
you.
you and being like, oh my goodness, she's incredible, and thank you for sharing your art with the city. you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I mean, I feel like I don't have a choice.
Yeah, we
You know?
really don't, depending if we're willing to answer the call.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that aspect. I'm going to go straight into that little deeper introspective and what responsibility you feel as an artist to answer the call, and maybe based off your personality type, maybe introvert, extrovert, what it's been like to answer the call as an artist.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a journey. So where I started with music and putting my stuff out there is definitely not where I am now. So I was not a musical kind of person until college. I played like instruments in 5th grade band, and I would listen to music a lot, but I'd never played it until my junior year in college. I started learning how to play guitar, and from there it just kind of like grew. I would go to big concerts like Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, and I'd just be like, oh my God, I feel so jealous. Like, I want to do this. And I started writing music in college, and, it took about 2 years, but last year I finally made the choice. Like, I kept feeling that pull on the inside, and I started working with a voice coach because I was really insecure about my voice. And, I started really writing more songs, playing more guitar. And then I started going to open mics in Milwaukee. And from there, I think the responsibility that I used to feel was much more individual and independent. It was just, I felt so unaligned in my life, and music was the one place that I feel like I could sit down and be authentic with myself and my life, because it was just me in my room, on my bedroom floor playing guitar. And when I started performing I started connecting with people through that. So I think now I feel a little bit more like a vessel than anything else. And I feel like the things that come through me, they're important to me, but I also don't know who's meant to hear them also, so that's kind of what has inspired me to like get my music more out there, other than just, my own drive to do it. I want it to find the people that it needs to find.
How many years has it been since your junior year of college?
Almost 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one was spent like 4 years ago. It was just me on Guitar Tabs, the app, learning different chord shapes and just like trying to put the poetry that I would write to songs. And from there, it's been, like maybe 2.5, 3 years of actually writing songs, playing guitar. It's only been like a year, if not a little bit more, of performing. So that's still pretty new.
Yeah,
to
well,
me.
congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, especially being in the first year or closing out the first year.
Yeah.
Your ceiling is infinite. You know what I'm saying? Where it is
Thank you.
that Beyonce, Kendrick level, selling out stadiums. And it's pretty impressive that you've done that in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I feel like most artists knew from an earlier age that it's something that was for them. And so what did you study at university?
I actually went into legal studies. I was a sociology major, and I thought I was going to go into law school. So before the job that I worked before I started doing music like more seriously, I was actually working at a law firm, because I was kind of stuck between music or what I went to school for. So I was ready to get into a law firm, and then I was like, never mind. I think I actually want to do something more artistic. And yeah, Answer the call.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when it comes to answering the call, it sounds like you were also answering the call for yourself, because you said that everything else outside of music was kind of bland, and that music became, as you said, a personal release. And now you see yourself as a vessel for the benefit of others, although you are still learning who your crowd may be. What is the general theme or message of your music?
I think the journey has a lot to do with what I talk about in my music. So my songs themselves are really specific a lot of times to certain feelings or experiences that I have. So a big theme through my music is kind of taking off the masks that you put on yourself to fit into certain either like dimensions of society or ways that you're supposed to feel. Some of them are even just like as a woman, you know, and not that that's like specifically talked about in my music, but it draws from that place of how can I take off the expectations that I've been putting on myself, that people have been putting on myself, and really navigate this feeling that I'm feeling in a more raw lens. The journey itself has been really, you know, because like you said, a lot of people have this sense for a long time. It took me a lot longer to admit it. Even though I might have felt it a few years before I started playing guitar, I couldn't diagnose it until I actually started making music. And that was another reason why I think it took me so long, was because it felt like, well, this can't be for me. You know, I'm 22. I don't know anything about anything music. I just listen to it. And so I think a big theme of my artistry has really been, I want to inspire people to go on the same journey that I did, which is take off the masks, but also answer the call. You know, it doesn't matter how far out of reach it is. It doesn't matter how insane it sounds or where you come from or where you've been, or, you know, it really is just, if you have that call on the inside, trust, get to a place with yourself where you can answer that and do something meaningful with it, you know, and just care about yourself is really the biggest one.
I love it. You're definitely hitting the sociology points
Yeah.
here, or maybe more psychology in a way.
Yeah.
However, so first off, I love psychology and sociology, like my favorite high school classes. And I'm a big self-help, positive mental attitude book reader, you know, leadership
I am
books.
too.
So yeah. Maybe we could talk about books in a second. However, before we go to books, you're talking about arguably, debatably, the most powerful thing that a human can do, which is to remove the mask. From my study and my perspective, as electromagnetic beings, the highest frequency that we can emit and control through our energy is enlightenment, which is enlightened mind, and light is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All that is just simply a code word for authenticity, to live in truth, because truth is the only reality that exists. It's the only thing that's actually real.
Yeah.
And most humans are not living in truth for so many different reasons. And it takes a lot to get to a space where we feel comfortable in ourselves, or comfortable in whatever our belief system is, that makes us feel bold enough and courageous enough to live in that space of authenticity, honesty, and truth of ourselves to the outside world. For somebody that maybe that seems like the most wildest, craziest, I could never just be myself to the world. And that's their perspective, which, if we're being honest, is probably the majority of the population.
Yeah.
Where do you recommend that they start in order to begin being able to express themselves authentically?
Yeah, I think this is a personal question too, because I lived so much of my life not in a truthful place, and just really not understanding how to tap into that. And it kind of comes in breadcrumbs. I feel like it's just listening to those little itty bitty voices in your head that are telling you to go randomly buy a guitar, that are telling you to go, write in your journal or go to this random open mic, or, I think it's just really saying yes to things, and trying to tune more in. I think also meditating, journaling, just getting in touch with yourself is extremely important, because you can't hear that voice if you're not actively taking care of yourself and taking the time to listen to yourself. So I would say for someone who is absolutely brand new, just whip out a journal. Just think about, what do you feel right now? What do you want to write about? What are you thinking about? What is your experience? Are you struggling with something? And I think just getting to know yourself more so that that voice can come up, because I think as humans, we like to think that we have ultimate control over everything. But one thing that I've learned with art is that things come through you as much as you create them, so a lot of the ideas that I have for songs, it feels like they just kind of float in from the ether, and I just I'm the one with the tools, that can build it, but it's not really mine. It's some greater force. So I would just give the advice of, learn how to tap into that voice, just get to know yourself and spend some time with yourself so that you can hear what those things are for you outside of the masks and the expectations.
I love journaling as a practical way to getting to know yourself and your inner voice. And you also mentioned meditation, which is a word that is maybe commonly heard yet rarely practiced. And simply curious what the word meditation means to you and how you use that as practice. I would consider personally journaling even as a form of meditation, right? Although there is a difference between written meditation and silent meditation or breath meditation, for example. However, I would love to hear your perspective on meditation.
Yeah, I like the broadness of that word, kind of like how you were saying, how it can be a lot of different things other than just sitting and practicing breathing. I think meditative practices really have anything to do with how do you come back to this moment, because you can't do things from the future. You can't do things from the past. Every actionable step in your life, every voice that's coming through, it's happening now. And so I think kind of letting go of the worry or the stress of whatever is ahead, whatever is behind, and just kind of, all right, I'm sitting in Riverwest Radio right now. I'm talking in a microphone, it's a little cold in here. My hands are a little cold, just little things like that, where how can you come back to this moment? And then when all the clutter's out of the way, what do you see, and what's coming up? And it's just, I almost like to think of it as getting out of my own way a little bit, because our mind loves to, like I said, control things or to project or to reflect, or so I think meditative practice is really just coming back to the present. And meditation, I feel like when I say meditation, it's the breathing, it's closing your eyes, coming in a really not dramatic but radical presence in this moment, and just being completely still with whatever's coming up, and learning acceptance of present moment, if that makes sense.
You also gave some really good examples, speaking of being present and being able to create that channel where you hear that inner voice, and then to take the opportunities. For example, I went to the open mic for the first time in months because something said, go there, right?
Yeah. And
it blossomed for me, an awesome connection. I had a fun time performing and everything too, right?
Yeah.
Yet, it's an honor that this conversation birthed from that, right? As an example, what do you think stops people from their willingness to answer or to follow that voice, especially when it comes to going out into the world? I think makes it even harder.
Yeah, which I feel like it's worth mentioning also, performing is not something that I've always done, and showing myself to people, that's not something that's been comfortable for me. And it is now that I practice it more, and I've decided that this is my career path, so I can kind of learn how to embrace that and enjoy it. But 3 years ago, I was terrified to go to a bar. I had my people, or to go out into, friends' houses that I'd never met, or whatever it was, sporting events, whatever. And I think what changed for me is you can't change something in your life if you're not aware of it. So that was the first step, was I was so accepting of that comfort zone because I was afraid, which brings me to my next point, which I think, at least for me, fear has just been the ultimate barrier to climb over, because fear is going to show up no matter what. And I think we have this idea sometimes that we won't do something until the fear is gone. And so I think that kind of perfectionist mindset sometimes stops us from being vulnerable, from opening up, because we just are waiting. We're waiting for the fear to be gone. We're waiting for the perfect circumstances to arise. We're just constantly putting this idea in our head that something in the future is going to give us something that we don't have but want right now. And so I think changing the mindset around fear, I think, is the most important part, because the fear is not going to go away. I'm still afraid. I was afraid to do this. It's just having that trust in yourself to kind of be able to support yourself and have that self-talk of, I am afraid, but it's okay. It'll be okay. And I'll do this thing because I want to do it, and it'll be fun, or I will have this conversation with this person, even though I'm scared to have it, because it's what I need to do for myself. I think it's ultimately kind of putting yourself first, but also speaking to the fear with love and not hate or animosity in any way. It's the fear is there for a reason. You got hurt in the past, and things are scary, and people do judge you, and rejection happens. And the fear is so absurdly normal that villainizing it doesn't do anything. So I think it's also just kind of embracing the fear in a way that I also have learned. When I feel fear in a really big way, sometimes I will say to myself, like, this is great. This means I'm pushing myself. This means I'm coming out of my comfort zone. This means that I'm supporting myself in the ways that I always wanted to, and I have worked so hard to. So I think it's really just, fear is really powerful, but if we can change our relationship to it and learn to hold space for it in our life in a positive way, I think that helps a lot when you want to start being vulnerable, put yourself out there, go to open mics. I still will walk into an open mic that I go to every week and know everyone in the room, and I'll still be scared. I'm like, what if there's someone there that I've never met? What if I perform poorly? It's not going to go away. I think it's really just the way that we talk to it and operate within it.
I love it. So much excellent advice. I feel like we've been jumping into this episode with lots of intelligence. I feel like I'm talking to a therapist right now. So we're going to show y'all some Jesse Garwood music. We got Jumping In here live on Riverwest Radio.
Lately I've been thinking about the things we're drinking, the funny things I say when inhibitions lay low, but they don't seem as clever when I'm awake and I remember it. Lately I've been stuck on wicked thoughts of what might come after I go away, 'cause I'm aware and I'm afraid of how that used to stop me, and of the havoc it would wreak inside. Lately it's been tough here, everything I thought I knew changing like the seasons, all the warnings and the clues playing out in twisted ways as I play this twisted game, self-aware and still a pawn in play. I'm at risk of sounding so cliche, but it just hit me that I'll die everything inside, so terrified to live. And I might risk it all, might go insane. And I don't think that this is just a phase, 'cause I'd rather be in pain than in the places that I've been. And if I fall, well then at least I'm jumping in. Later in the night when people stay and people go, and you look around to find a face that you might know, that suspicious feeling used to kill me, now I live for the thrill. Me and all the strangers and the weirdos from the bar, we go back to my place, drink some wine and smoke cigars as we watch the seasons change and the night turn into day. 'Cause I'm here, I know I'll be okay. I'm at risk of sounding so cliche, but it just hit me that they'll die someday. So why is everything inside so terrified to stay? And I might risk it all, might go insane. And I don't think that this is just a phase, 'cause I'd rather be in pain than in the places that I've been. And if I fall, well then at least I'm jumping in. At least I'm jumping in. Lately I've been thinking that the voices in my head might not go away. Well, I'm aware and I am not afraid. I'm at risk of sounding so cliche, but it just hit me that I'll die someday. So I'll be damned to waste another day afraid to live. And I might risk it all, might go insane. And I don't think that this is just a phase, 'cause I'd rather be in pain than in the places that I've been. If I fall, then at least I'm jumping in.
What's going on, y'all? We are live 104.1 WXRW-LP Riverwest Radio, your favorite live at 5 every Monday. Interstellar Vision, Intellectual Minds, hosted by yours truly, Silky Dot. We are hanging out in the present moment with Jesse Garwood. We are meditating through this episode and enjoying it, and I'm truly enjoying this conversation. It has me extra present myself, so I really appreciate it. We were just talking about intention for a second off air, and maybe you can see sometimes with questions I like to keep it general as I can. Sometimes I get over specific. However, if I bring up just the word intention, and you shared your intention in a way so much, but if you could speak on the word intention and what it means to you and how you see it in the world. That's a very broad question. So if you want me to go more specific, I can.
No, this is my bread and butter.
Okay.
I already have one.
Great.
I think immediately what came to mind is everyone's putting out an energy, and I think intention is just kind of the willpower that you can put into the energy that you're radiating out. And I think that affects what comes back as well. 'Cause, you know, if we think about everything that we send out comes back to us in equal measure, or equal and opposite, whatever the Newton's law is, but law of attraction. Intention to me is just kind of, you know, what do you want to put out into the world? And I think there is an element of intention that has to be followed by accountability, I guess. You know, we have to practice what we preach. We have to actively do the work. We can't just, it's not as effective to sit down once a day and say, this is my intention, and then go act in a completely opposite way. But I think intention to me is just that, you know, thesis statement of whatever you're working on, whether it's a project or the day or a relationship. It's kind of like, what is the energy that you want to put into this? And I think that also just guides our subconscious to act in that way when we're not thinking, when we're not actively applying things, to be putting things out that I think it's just like the thesis statement.
That's amazing. I love the idea of how intention helps guide the subconscious when we're not consciously making decisions. Mm-hmm. Many people, I believe the word meditation might be more common. However, the Newton's law you just brought up, was that what you said?
Yeah, something
okay.
I couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay, that's great. Cool. But we can explain law of attraction.
Yeah.
So what does law of attraction mean to you, and how do you use it? I'm sure it's similar to intention, yet that's the question.
Law of attraction is basically everything that you put out into the world comes back to you in the same way. So it's or what you focus on builds too. So if you are filled with rage and hate and fear, that's what is going to come back to you. And I'm not a law of attraction expert, so I could be saying this in a not very prolific way, but if you decide to, if you set the intention to put out good energy, to put out positivity and light and hope and different things like that, you're going to find more of that in your life. It's the frequency that you vibrate at as a human being. So it's, the intention's important, but there also is a physical element of it where you can say that you're doing something, but you might be operating in a different way. So for example, you could say, for me, I want to go to law school. I want to, just kind of as a base example, I want to be an attorney. I want to do this, but then I'll play guitar and I'll feel, something different. And it's kind of like this dissonance. I think that can apply in a way where you can say one thing, but the energy that's radiating from you says something itself too. So I think law of attraction is kind of like the combination of those two, and it's kind of like, what are you putting out? And yeah, I hope I said that eloquently.
I love it. I'm sure it's very eloquent. And a great book for law of attraction basics, The Secret.
Yeah.
Rhonda, I don't know if it's Bryn or Byrne.
I've heard Byrne, but
I think it is Byrne. So yes, Rhonda Byrne, The Secret. I actually am just reading another book by her that is The Secret of Love, Money, and something else. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy that I can't remember what the third section was. I'm almost done with the book. I'm literally on the last 40 pages. And I'll say this about even reading that book is it puts you in a different mood. Like the words on the pages and the way that she writes the book elevates your frequency. And to me, based off of my comprehension of the law of attraction and the recent rereading of this book, is that the thought and the feeling is so powerful that it supersedes everything. Of course, we have to put right action behind thought and feeling. However, right action with wrong thought and wrong feeling is almost a dead end. And right feeling and right thought can lead to more of an effortless action, I suppose, almost because the action is an inspired action.
Oh, yeah.
So you're doing what it is that you feel called to do. And rather than feeling like you have to do something, you feel like it's what you're meant to be doing. Mm-hmm. The thing about that book, though, is there are just so many countless miracles after miracle after miracle. I'm not sure. Have you read the first one?
I'm familiar with it, but I haven't actually read it.
Okay, I recommend it. I recommend now the second one too. And the reason is because, again, it has reminded me about the importance of feeling good while growing to the next level and growing through the process. And it also reminds me that anything can come from anywhere at any time. I think no matter what, we can get too over logical with wanting to control the how something happens without realizing that, hey, if I feel called to go to this open mic at this time, that there could be, it just so happens that there's an A&R from LA out here and stumbled across the Uptowner on a Monday, just as an example of anything that could happen. I have an appointment after this that I feel really called to get to. I'm also supposed to pick up my niece and take her home. You know what I'm saying? And I have to call my sis and be like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Only because I really believe right place, right time.
Yeah. And that, I was just thinking about this today, actually. But when I started going to voice lessons before I started performing, so this was almost 2 years ago. No, this was last year. This was not even a year. Timeline's messy. It was somewhere between 1 and 2 years ago. But one of the best pieces of advice that my voice coach gave me was don't worry about the how. And basically, I came into her, I was like, I have all these giant dreams and I don't know how to get there and I don't know what to do about it. And, you know, like the Beyonce level dreams, the Kendrick Lamar level dreams. And I'm sitting here unable to show anyone the songs that I'm writing in secret in my room. And that was one of the things that really got me through to start taking action. Was things are going to happen that you have absolutely no control over. And I think that goes back to kind of like intention and what you're putting out into the world. There's another element to that, which is letting it go. It's, if you're white knuckling your goals and your dreams, and all that's going to do is keep you tethered to an expectation of how that's supposed to roll out, that things might fly past you. And I totally believe in right place, right time, you know, divine intervention, different things. Like nothing's going to pass you up that's meant for you. But at the same time, there might be a willingness or an openness that you have in those moments, if you're able to let go and exist in the present, that you'll get there a lot faster, you know, and because things will come into your life that you aren't expecting, and you'll be able to say yes because you have that open mind, you know. Yeah. But that's interesting you said that, because I was just thinking about that today. Just don't worry about the how. It's just so important to like let go of things too.
There's a book by an author, I believe his name is Simon Sinek, and the book is Start With Why. And it's mainly the why is, why do I want this? What are my reasons behind wanting this? And if we know the why, we can patiently persevere as the how unfolds.
Yeah. Unfolds is such a cool way of saying that. I've been hearing that. It's like a little synchronicity in my life right now, is unfolding. Because that's kind of what it is. You know, I think at least this is my experience. I have the piece of paper in my hand and I just want to rip it apart and just get to the end of it, you know, and see what's underneath all of it. But things do naturally unfold. And things happen in your life that you don't expect, and they actually push you where you need to go. You know, something tragic could be happening in your life, and it could be actually exactly what you need, you know, to get you right on the path that you had no idea was meant for you. But now you're on that path, and a year later you see, oh, it unfolded, you know, like it wasn't just me ripping up this piece of paper or, you know, folding paper or whatever the metaphor is. But yeah, I like that. Start with the why.
Yeah, start with why. Good things take time. And also the importance of being patient during that unfolding rather than attempting to rush the process. Imagine if someone attempted to make a flower blossom before its time.
Have you heard that story of the butterfly?
I have not heard the story of a butterfly, but I have a story of a butterfly too. So that's so funny when it comes to this. Tell me about your story of the butterfly.
I heard this in college at some point, but I still remember it. There's this story or this, like they tell it to people in support groups sometimes where there's this person and they see a cocoon and they see a butterfly trying to break out of it. And they see the struggle so much that they end up taking the cocoon apart for them, and they help the butterfly because they didn't want it to be struggling or anything. But then the butterfly can't fly because it needed to break itself out to strengthen its wings. So it actually hurt it in the long run by helping it. And it was just kind of the lesson behind it is, some people, you have to let people go through the pain, I guess. And the pain is important because it actually strengthens you for the things that you need. But it reminded me of that, like what you just said.
Yeah, my story is exactly that. So that's cool. So I wonder if the person that I heard it from actually took that story from somewhere else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It may when he said it, it seemed like he was a classroom teacher, but he was also speaking from a stage. So who knows? We'll leave that. But yes, exactly. And as you were telling the story, it makes me think about prayer and our Heavenly Father and Divine Mother, and however you look at a connection to a source creator that cares for all of us, and how much that source creator must hurt her to watch us be struggling and want to help us lighten the load. Yet with that higher awareness and that infinite intelligence, realizing that if we got the assistance too early, that we wouldn't be strong enough to take on the hardships of the next levels of life.
Right. It's patience. Kind of like what you were saying. It's the faith in something that has patience to be able to step back and things come exactly when they need them. I think it's kind of like someone like I've never parented, I'm nowhere near a parent or being a parent, but that philosophy of parenting where if you hover too much, your kid's going to go to college or move out and they're not going to know how to do their laundry. They're not going to know how to cook their food. Like there's different things where you have to, my parents would always say this to me, like you have to make your mistakes, and they would say it in a way that's like, we're glad you're making mistakes under our house. And then they'd ground me or whatever. But it's the same thing. You have to go through hard things. That's what builds resilience, because otherwise it's just important, I think, as a human being to go through hardship and to go through struggle. And it's terrible. And, no one wants to see anyone struggle. No one wants to be struggling, but it is kind of what you were saying, whatever we hold faith in is patient, and I think that that's like almost a virtue that we can model, I guess, too, to where you were talking about patience. I think it's the same thing. Like we can be patient with ourselves. We can be patient with the process. We can be patient with the way that things unfold. And because, there's something higher that's doing that too,
Tell me a little bit about that something higher in your life and what the word faith means to you and how you use it.
So I would consider myself a very spiritual person. I call it the universe. That's what I call it. So I have faith in the universe. I have faith in energy. I have faith in, the different things that in my life I can look back and I can see the way that things kind of like came into my life that actually they were terrible in the moment, but then they pushed me in a different way. And just through experience, there's this weird path that I'm starting to see the more that my life goes on, and I just call that the universe. I'm like, there's something, there's something that I can lean on. And I think also I find a lot of that energy in myself when I am able to like connect back to the present moment. I think that's why I journal so much. It's why meditating or meditative practice is important, is because you're able to connect to that in the moment and get those little messages or, hear the callings for you that you're able to answer. Like, I call it the universe. So that's.
Universe is beautiful as an artist too. One verse.
Oh,
it's one song.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so true. It's all connected. We're all connected. Mm-hmm. So much more than people realize. Mm-hmm. That's why you can be thinking about someone and they phone you at that same time.
Yeah.
The thoughts are the most powerful frequency of this life. And thoughts literally shape our reality. There's a quote that goes, watch your thoughts for they become your beliefs. Watch your beliefs for they become your actions. Watch your actions for they become your habits. Watch your habits for that becomes your character. And watch your character for that becomes your destiny.
Wow.
And it all started with thought.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, earlier when we were talking about the law of attraction, you were speaking on an individual maybe filled with rage or, these different emotions, and that's what they're emitting. You may have answered this in multiple ways, yet how does somebody change their frequency? How do they change what they're emitting?
I think, not to sound like a broken record, but I think the first step is coming back to yourself in the moment. One thing that my mom talks about a lot that I carry with me is feeling your feelings, because I think we like to either speed through them or ignore them or dissociate from them, or they're uncomfortable, even happy feelings sometimes, or like as an artist, as a growing artist, I reach new levels, like doing interviews or getting on bigger stages. And it's a great experience and it's something I'm working towards, but I freak out, it's uncomfortable feelings. And I think the first step is just kind of learning how to make it safe for yourself to feel, and then feeling the actual feeling. How can you sit with yourself and let it pass through you, because otherwise it just gets stuck or it comes up in a different way at a different time. And so I think that that's almost as important as getting through the feeling itself. Is if you don't feel safe enough with yourself to experience the feeling, it's never going to go anywhere. Not never, but it'll come up in different ways, or it'll stick with you in ways where feelings are normal, and you're gonna experience rage and you're gonna experience hurt. And I think that's kind of the flip side of the coin here. Sometimes I feel almost so, I don't want to say so like self-helpy, but I get really logical about this stuff sometimes, where I avoid feeling negative feelings or more, rage type feelings or sadness or things that aren't really exciting to feel, because I'm thinking, well, I'm manifesting this in my life, but you're not. It's just a feeling that's coming up, and honoring that is actually the most respectful thing you can do to yourself. The feeling itself doesn't matter. That's just whatever feeling's coming up. It's the act of sitting with it that I think allows you to be able to adjust that frequency. Sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing. It's just the feeling the feeling, because then you can get to a different place with it once it moves through you. But if you never let that happen, you're going to get stuck there. It's like negative self-talk. It's if you aren't able to ever see it, if you never sit down and notice that you're having negative self-talk, you can't ever do anything with it,
So much about, I love what you're just saying. And I look at the word emotion as energy in motion, and we never want to block the emotion, right? Allow it to happen. However, how do we choose to respond to it? Right? If somebody cuts me off in traffic and almost makes me crash, I'm going to feel a type of way. Yet, am I going to go and respond by trying to chase them down? Or am I going to move on? Is somebody, if I stub my toe really hard, I'm going to be frustrated. No, that's impossible to stop for that split second, because that emotion is going to happen. But then how I choose to respond to it is completely up to me. And I feel like that's what EQ is, emotional intelligence. And we definitely need to continue to, school is so big on IQ, but how about making sure that we have people out here with a high EQ and able to have excellent social emotional health and navigate with other people, because they're able to choose how they respond to what happens to them.
Yeah.
And speaking of what happens to them, you also talked about the value of discomfort, hardship, challenge, right? And so many people run away from pain, right? Even though it is a necessary part, as you're sharing. For example, exercise is discomforting. It's uncomfortable, yet it makes the body stronger. Studying something new might be uncomfortable, yet it makes us wiser. So for anybody who might be avoiding discomfort, what's your suggestion to them?
Ooh, I've avoided a lot of discomfort in my day. I think what's helped me in places where I feel really avoidant, support can help a lot. And that's not lean all of your weight on the people that you trust and love. That's just acknowledge when you need it, and work on asking for help. I think that's really important. 'Cause it's one thing to say, it's, sit with your feelings and go through them and don't avoid them and everything. But sometimes feelings are really big, and sometimes they're attached to very real consequences or actions that we might have to take if we sit with them, or whatever possible, world that is built around a feeling or that we've built around it. And so I think having people you can talk to, I think, is really helpful, and lean on for support. I think, that relationship with yourself, I feel like I've just found that that's the most important thing to me, is when I am not treating myself very well, or if I'm, not taking very good care of myself, I'm not able to sit with those feelings because I can't trust myself enough to get through them or to do something with, like, if I have a bad feeling that comes up, sometimes I'm like, well, if I feel this, I'm going to be stuck in bed for 3 days and I have stuff that I need to do. And that's just what I'm telling myself, but when I tell myself, no, I can sit with this and it'll be okay, and I will get through it and it will pass. Like that relationship with myself, that trust in myself, I think has been the ultimate game changer, because I feel way more open to feeling those feelings. So it really is kind of, the primer that we put on the feeling in a way. So how are we operating through the world, I think, is just, like I said before, it's just as important as the feeling. So yeah, I would say support, and then just that relationship with yourself, kind of, how can you make it safe for those feelings to come up, even if it's a really unsafe feeling. Yeah.
Speaking of unsafe, blood's a beach to clean.
I don't know where to go. There's invaders in my home, replacing all my furniture with broken plastic bones. I can't help but ignore I'm the one who let them in the door, watching from the outside as they take what I adore most. Much must be pretty special, since I can't get enough. Let me help you tear a carpet, shags of green and hideous poster board dreams. Consider it a favor, that's what I choose to believe. As they told me I was different, I was fantasizing, spending time romanticizing, people pleasing, psychic reading, quality drunk, altering the joy I feel the further that I sink. Drowning from the inside out, I think I just figured out poetry and how it reinvents the wheel spin, hun. We're just having fun. It's so childish, young, dumb, and numbing all at once. My loaded gun and hands of bottled rum are just a trope meant to trap you into letting go. As they told me I was different, I was fantasizing, spending time romanticizing, people pleasing, psychic reading, qualities of who I choose to be, all in preparation of defeat, bandaging a wound that's yet to bleed. 'Cause I know that blood's a bitch to clean.
Yes, indeed. Blood's something to clean. We can't say it on the radio. But we're going to be wrapping up here soon, ladies and gentlemen. And Jesse has an amazing announcement about this song.
Yes. So if you like what you just heard, I have great news for you, which is it's going to be out on March 13th. So in a few weeks, Friday, March 13th, the song will be available absolutely everywhere. Yeah. So sorry to cut it short, but we gotta leave some for the first listen. You know,
Yes. You got a little teaser. Go hear the full version March 13th everywhere. Are there some teasers on social already as well?
There should be, yeah. And I will be posting some shortly as well. So I'm going to make an announcement, like an official announcement later tonight. And from there, I'll be posting much more. But
where do people follow you if they want to stay up to date?
So I would say I do have a website. So jessegarwood.com, spelled just like it is on the screen if you're live streaming. Jesse with no I, and that has all the information. So all the music that I have out and will put out, any announcements that I make, gigs coming up, different things like that. I also have Instagram, which I post a lot on there for more formal stuff. If you want to get to know me and hear a little bit more of my music, I have a YouTube channel that I post on every Friday. So that goes from anywhere from live performances to me talking to myself and my fans just like this. And I also have a TikTok, and I that one's a little more if you want to just giggle.
I love it. That's good. We all need to laugh.
Right.
My final question of the day is, if today is your last day on earth, you're guaranteed not to have another breath after midnight tonight, and you are given a stone tablet that does talk to text. It's a special stone tablet. Not only does it do talk to text, but as soon as you are done with your last breath, your tablet will be displayed across the entire world as a hologram so that people can see what you wrote on your tablet, and you are commanded the responsibility of giving your top 2 suggestions of how to live the most heavenly, beautiful, universe aligned life as a human being on this earth in this time. What are those 2 suggestions that you are leaving humanity to follow?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I think my first one is you can only reach as high as you believe you can reach and as far as you believe you can reach. And I'll leave that as that. And I think my second one is if I'm going for, it'll be a little wordy, but I'm thinking about typing text, but I think enjoying the moment, enjoying your life. It's great to, be driven and have goals and dreams, but it's also important to enjoy the process, and wake up every day and look around and be grateful for the things that are in your life, and then go back, and work on what you want. But I think just finding a way to exist in the moment, and everything happens now.